Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to present my paper entitled Forensic Analysis in the Will of the Suicidal Bomber. My name is Widyashanti Kunthara Anindita, or you can call me Miss Nindi. I'm from University of Surakarta, and if you have any question, you can contact me in my email wkanindita@gmail.com. Well, I'm going to begin first about the first slide. What is forensic linguistics? Maybe this study is new for us, or maybe some of you have known the definition of this study. Okay, if I can give definition the easy way, forensic linguistics is the study of language in legal cases, both in the courtroom or outside. And because forensic linguistics is the study of language, so it deals with branches of linguistics such as semantic, pragmatic, discourse analysis, sociolinguistic, phonology, and many more. And the question is, what is the object of this research? Yes, you can guess it based on my title. Of course, the object of my research is suicide. The latter is authentic evidence that can be found the reason why the perpetrator carried out the bombing or suicide. As expressed by McNamee 2002 in Aryani Sajedi, a suicide note is a physical evidence document that is subject to forensic linguistics. I did 3 previous studies in my paper. The first one is from Ilzam 2019. His title, Revealing Language Motives and Behavior in Suicide Records. He categorized words based on word class to find prominent linguistic features, lexical semantic analysis to find the author's message, and pragmatic semantic analysis and relevance theory to find the underlying motive. The second study is from Sujana and Fitri 2013. Their title entitled The Case of Kurt Cobain's Suicide Note, Analysis of Forensic Linguistic Profiles. This paper has an aim to identify the authenticity of Cobain's suicide note and to find the subject's motives for committing suicide. The study tends to create a profile of Cobain's writing based on the use of negative lexicals related to the psychology of the perpetrator. I'm sorry, the sound is uh, echo. There is an echo because if I turn off the sound itself, the echo itself, my sound is not really clear enough. And the last review study is Forensic Linguistic Analysis of Virginia Woolf Suicide Notes by Malini and Anindita, 2017. The purpose of this study was to prove the authenticity of Virginia Woolf's suicide note, reveal the true intentions and true motives with the linguistic inquiry and word count or LIWC program and semantic forensic analysis in the perspective of forensic linguistics. So all of the studies use language as the main point for analyzing suicide letters. How about my paper? What makes the difference between my paper and those previous studies is about the data itself. The data is in the form of wills of suicide bomber in Indonesian or Bahasa Indonesia and analyzed using the LIWC program. Actually, it's online soft software. Everyone can access it freely. It is a text analysis software designed by James W. Pennebaker. LIYWC counts various word categories and various texts such as emails, speeches, poems, and others. By clicking the button, you can see how much the text uses positive or negative tones, self-references, casual words, and more. And my study has a purpose, has three purposes. They are proof the authenticity of the wills of suicide bomber, determine the emotional tone, and find out the motives. This LIWC will be easier to determine the authenticity of the suicide letter and emotional tone. Last, the motive for the deed will be analyzed from some forensic semantic. According to McNamara in SPAR 2020, forensic semantic is a science that interprets words, phrases, sentences, text, ambiguities in text and laws, and interpretation of meaning in oral discourse. And the research method, the object of this research is a will on the suicide bombing of the Makassar Cathedral Church, which occurred on 26 December 2020. The letter was left by the suicidal in front of the church. The letter was published in one of the national online news media. The steps taken for this research are: first, the writer translated the source language, namely Indonesian, into English without changing the meaning or sentence. Then the writer entered the English text sentence into the LIWC program to determine the emotional tone of the letter. The program reads the text and calculates the percentage of words that reflect the different emotions. Then the writer read many times on phrases, clauses, and sentences in the letter by semantic forensic theory. Finally, the results of the LIWC analysis and semantic analysis are connected to Prokofieva's 2013 psychological theory. The research method is descriptive qualitative because the researcher described the findings from the linguistic phenomenon, which is suicide letter, used by the language user in a society. Result and discussion. The percentage of the total words in a text reflected by LIWC. I words is the percentage of first-person pronouns used, such as I, me, my. In bahasa Indonesia, saya, aku, ku. The percentage of positive tone is indicated by words that reflect positive tone. Positive tone like the words senang, happy, and then great, love, and etc. And the percentage of negative tone is indicated by words that reflect negative tone, such as sad, unhappy, or meaning that has negative meaning like uh, what's that? Like usually or riba. Nah, so negative tone is the feelings that make sad the speaker itself. The percentage of social relationship and activities indicated by social words. For example, the speaker or the writer says someone, uh, greeting someone that has relationship with the speaker itself. The percentage of connective process is indicated by words that reflect connective process. Connective, cognitive words such as words that the speaker believes wrong or right for him. And here the scale where O is the lowest and the highest is 100. Analytic is a form of thinking. Authentic is a language property that reflects when a person speaks in an unfiltered and spontaneous way. Emotional tones are rated higher when they are perceived as more positive than negative. Okay, and Let me show you the ILWC program. Here you can enter the word itself in Google, and then it spontaneously appear, and click LUIWC and click try it now. Yeah, and then choose one personal writing and the text itself. Here, Indonesian person and English person. I will enter first the English version. So why it doesn't work? You can paste the text English version because the program only can read the English version. Here. So the word count is 194 words in Bahasa Indonesia. After I translated into English, becomes 238 words. The translation needs to be done because the program cannot read another language except English. However, the structure of the sentence are still the same as the source language. I didn't change active sentence to be passive or conversely. You can check it Indonesian version. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Wasiat kepada orang yang saya cintai karena Allah. Wahai Umi, aku minta maaf kalau ada salah baik perilaku maupun lisanku. Jangan lupa Ki senantiasa beribadah kepada Allah Jangan tinggalkan sholat. Semoga Allah mengumpulkan Ki di surganya. Umi, sekali lagi aku minta maaf. Aku sayang sekali, tapi Allah lebih mencintai hambanya. Makanya saya tempuh jalanku sebagaimana jalan Nabi atau Rasul Allah untuk selamatkan Ki dan bisa Ki kembali berkumpul di surga. Satu pesanku buat kita Umi, stop ambil uang bank karena uang bank itu riba dan tidak diberkahi Allah. Ini ada uang simpananku 2.350.000 untuk bayar kredit di bank. Itu uang kontrak rumahku masih ada 5 bulan di karyawan laundrynya Mus. 500.000 per bulan kontrakan, ambil Mary tiap bulan. Simpan Ki untuk bayar kredit. Pito, minta maaf kalau ada salahku dek, baik itu lisanku maupun perbuatanku dulu. Satu pesanku, untuk kau dek, jaga Umi baik-baik. Kau mami bisa jaga Umi dan jangan malas-malesan sholat dan jangan banyak bergaul. Fokus saja bantu Umi. Istiqomah Ki semua di jalan ini. Nah Umi, Pito dan keluargaku yang saya cintai karena Allah. Semoga Allah mengumpulkan Ki di surga dan semua saudaranya dan keluarga bapakku. Muhluhman Al-Farzi. That is Indonesian version. We can see here there are so many critics here, the use of Ki. In the third line here, jangan lupa Ki senantiasa beribadah kepada Allah, because the first greeting is addressed to Umi, so I change Ki here refers to Umi, because Ki Umi also the reference. Oh Umi, I'm sorry if there is something wrong in my behavior or speech. Don't forget, let worship Allah and don't leave prayer. May Allah collect Umi. Why? Don't forget Ki. Don't forget. Don't forget here. Do not. Followed by what's that? Do not follow by the subject is okay. Do not follow. Ki senantiasa beribadah pada Allah. So I translate here. Don't forget, let worship Allah and don't leave prayer. May Allah collect Umi. Semoga Allah mengumpulkan Ki. Nah ini Ki di sini refers to Uminya kan. Collect Umi in his paradise. Umi, once again I'm sorry. I really love, but Allah love his servant more. So I follow my path as the way of the prophet or messenger of Allah to save us, and we can gather in heaven again. One message I have for you, Umi: stop taking bank money, because bank money is usually atau riba and is not blessed by Allah. And here save key to pay credit. Here key here is refers to me. Here is my 2,350,000 deposit to pay the credit at the bank. That's my house contract money. I still have 5 months in the laundry employee. Most 500 per month rented will be taken by Mary every month. In Indonesia here 500.000 bulan kontrakan ambil Mary. Ini kalau di Indonesia cannot translate it ambil Mary here must be translated into passive. So I translate it to be passive. That's the glance of the data itself. And here we can see that the self-reference 7.998, the lower than the average for personal language. So the percentage of this dimension is compared to the average of personal writing. Positive tone here 5.46, lower than the average. Negative tone is 1.26, lower than the average range. So here what I'm going to give conclusion. According to one et al. 2003, players tend to use fewer self-references, fewer cognitive words, and more negative thought. Based on the percentage of the table here, the suicide bombing letter is considered ingenuine or fake. This conclusion is made by three things based on the statement from Newman. First, because the use of self-references such as I, me, my is fewer, as much as 7.98, lower than the average. And then the cognitive process gets lower 7.56 than the average, which is 14.89. And the last negative tone gets fewer percentage or lower than the average, which is 9.30, 1.930. 1.993. I'm so sorry. And because there is this the use of reference lower or fewer reaches the standard connects to the statement from Newman, and then cognitive also lower or fewer, but negative tone is lower than the average, not more. So I can conclude that this suicide letter is genuine or fake, but this suicide letter have a positive emotional tone, because the positive tone itself is 5.46, higher than the average, which is 3.26. uh, is also supported by the statement of Newman that emotional tones are rated higher when they are perceived as more positive than negative. And continue to framework and semantic forensic of suicide bombing letter. The writer of the letter didn't compose both the date and the day of the letter. Greeting. The writer opened the letter by using Muslim salutation Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to his family whom he loves because of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And the content of the letter, first paragraph here. Oh Umi, I'm sorry if there is something wrong in my behavior or speech. The writer begins the will by apologizing in advance to his father, physically and spiritually. This is accordance with the findings of Jacqueline 2016 that suicide perpetrators will write their apologies using active sentences rather than passive sentences. This is done as an expression of the perpetrator's strong will. In next sentence, he reminds his mother not to forget the prayer. Here, don't forget to worship Allah and don't leave prayer. And hopes that one day he can gather with his mother in heaven. The perpetrator apologized again, but he didn't mention the reason why he apologized a second time. Umi, once again, I'm sorry. Here, he loves his mother very much, but the perpetrator believes that Allah loves his servants more who walk in the path of Allah. From the language used, the perpetrator uses direct language that is easily understood by the reader. Negative adjectives are not used often in this paragraph, except the word sorry. And the second paragraph here. So I follow my path as the way of the prophet or messenger of Allah to save us, and we can gather in heaven again. In the first sentence, the perpetrator doesn't explain what kind of way of the prophet can save people and can gather in heaven. The sentence is so ambiguous that it makes the reader confused and doesn't understand the correlation. In the Quran and Hadith, Allah commands jihad to uphold Islamic law as did the Prophet Muhammad. In this context, the writer bombed himself in the Makassar Cathedral Church, indicating that he had enforced Islamic law like what the Prophet or Messenger of Allah did so that he and his family could gather in heaven. In addition, the writer ordered his mother not to take bank money because in Islam, usury is unlawful and not blessed by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. In the second paragraph, the writer translating the ambiguous sentence, the writer must also relate the writer's letter itself from cultural background which is very strongly adheres to Islamic law. And next, the third paragraph here, as an alternative way of not being allowed to take bank money, the perpetrator wrote the amount of money he saved to his mother so that she could pay off the bank credit or debt. Here is my 2,350,000 deposit to pay the credit at the bank. This indicates to the reader that his mother should just take the perpetrator's deposit of 2,350,000 because the perpetrator still has this money saved for the house he rented for 5 months at Most Laundry. If her mother doesn't take it, then Mary usually takes the money every month. The perpetrator doesn't explain who Mary is in this sentence. The perpetrator uses the relative sentence to his mother to take and save the perpetrator's money so that his mother can pay off the bank debt. Looking at the context of the sentence, the motive for the perpetrator's suicide was because he was burdened by something. Prokopevia, 2013. The perpetrator thought of his mother's death in the bank. He wants to save his mother to be free from usury by using his saving money so that her mother can pay off her debt in the bank. And last paragraph or closing of the paragraph. In this paragraph, the perpetrator apologized to his younger sister named Ito. He gave a message to his sister to take good care of her mother. Don't forget to pray, don't play too much. This is what I'm sorry for paragraph. Don't forget to pray, don't pray too much, and just push on helping her mother. It's clear in this paragraph that the perpetrator says goodbye to his sister, that he will go away forever. Negative adjectives are also not often used in this fourth paragraph except the word sorry. And the last or closing the letter, the perpetrator ended his letter by giving a message to his mother and sister Pito to be always istiqomah. Istiqomah means always being in obedience and on the straight path in worshipping Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala by staying away from usury, not forgetting to pray and so on. because the virtue of istiqomah is a guarantee of heaven for those who carry out worship activities. And the conclusion is from the LIWC analysis, it can be concluded that the suicide bombing wills are fake because based on table 1, there is less percentage of self-reference, less percentage of cognitive worth, and less percentage of negative tone. The emotion expressed in the notes toward his family were positive, whether they were directed at his mother or his sister. The perpetrator apologized a lot and offered his money to his mother. The table 1 also shows the percentage of positive tone is higher than negative tone. The writer of this study agrees with Basmin's statement in exam 2019 that cultural values are additional analytical tool that is needed because human behavior is also strongly influenced by the culture in which the suicide bomber lives. In this case, the suicide bomber is very strong in embracing the Islamic law. And last, from the semantic analysis of forensic, the perpetrator carried out a suicide bombing because his mind was burdened by something. He thought of his mother's death in the bank. He wants to save his mother to be free from usury by using his saving money so that her mother can pay off her debt in the bank. That's all for my presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.